Whenever I post something on social media about behavior management, I get comments like this one, and like this one. I'm going to tell you why this is wrong. Okay, so let's just dive into a usual kids class. We've got kids running, we've got kids playing, we've got coaches trying to control a room. We've got kids who are doing drills who look bored, they look disengaged, and ultimately it ends up creating more frustration for the coaches because they're like, why won't these kids just listen? So what happens? We start punishing them. We have this fire in our belly, this feeling like I don't have the control right now and I need to get back to control. And what happens is we end up with coaches who start using things like physical activity as punishment in order to get back control. And then they call this discipline. I've never had to make kids do physical activity for a punishment, but I've always had control of my rooms. And I think this is the thing that gets confused on social media, because ultimately you see 30 seconds of a reel. You see me talking about how I use my tone of voice to be able to control a room. And then it's always, well, this might work for this, but it doesn't work for this. Or what if this happens, this won't happen. Or I can't get this to work because this works. Yeah, and what you see in 30 seconds on Instagram is not the entire picture of somebody's class. If I can run a room with 20, 30 children, and I've never yelled, and I've never punished my kids with push-ups or burpees or a physical punishment, and I rarely have to send kids off my mat, does that mean I'm a soft coach? No, of course not. So here's what you need to do. First of all, if you're sending children off your mat, that is behavior management failure. I don't care if you're a blue belt, I don't care if you're a black belt. If you are constantly sending children off your mats, you are not able to manage the behavior of the children on your mats long before it escalates to them having to be sent off the mat. And don't get me wrong, I have this too. When those happen, this is 100% my fault. I messed up because I should have recognized the triggers long before I got to that point. So here's what you're probably missing if this is you. Tone of voice change. Are they grunting more? Facial expressions. Do they look physically frustrated? Do they look annoyed? Do they look upset? Are they unable to verbally communicate their needs? Do they understand the goals? Sometimes kids get frustrated and they lash out because they don't actually understand what is required of them, or they can't do the thing that you're asking of them. So they're feeling frustrated because they're seeing other kids being able to do it and they can't. Now, here's the part that gets a little bit messy. Is it your role and your responsibility to cater to and monitor all these children? Some would argue, no, your role is to teach Jitsu, and if you don't want Jiu-Jitsu, get off my mats. Yeah, okay, I get it. If you're running a room full of kids, it's hard. I understand. I also run a room full of kids. It doesn't take much to just be a little bit more aware of what is actually happening in your room, the way that they're responding to the games that you're putting in front of them, the way that they're talking to their partner, the sound of their voice, the tone of the voice, their facial expressions, their body language. If you can see that, it's probably going to escalate. You need to step in before it starts to escalate, and by stepping in, you're not punishing them. It's not hey, I can see you're getting angry, that's not okay, do 10 push-ups. It's, hey man, I can see that, you might be feeling a little bit frustrated. Are you okay? And they're probably going to be telling you that they're not okay. And you'll be like, cool, that's sweet. Why don't you just go and grab a quick drink of water and come back? Pretty much de-escalates most situations. When you use push-ups and physical activity as punishment, yeah, you do get obedience. 100%. But have you actually instilled discipline? Have you actually taught them anything other than I will be punished if I do X, Y, and Z? It's not going to help you to develop discipline in the way that you think it is. You get compliance, you get obedience, but you haven't taught them discipline. There's a reason that yelling at kids and using physical punishment is seen as something that only works to control the immediate environment. And if I'm being completely honest, it's lazy coaching. You are relying completely on outdated practices. You are saying to me, well, it worked for me as a kid, so it must work. Well, yeah, we hit our kids with belts, but do we still do that? Hopefully not. We now know that these practices didn't work. So why are we still ingraining them in jiu-jitsu? It's lazy coaching based on the fact that you don't want to do the work to understand children's development, to understand how to coach in a way that is actually sustainable for both you, for the kids, for their future, and for the other coaches in the room. Because how many kids coaches get burnt out on a daily basis because of the amount of stress that they're under trying to control a room of 20 to 30 children. It doesn't have to be like that, because things like your tone of voice and your body language speak more than your words. So if you say to a child, "Stop please, that's enough now," what do they hear? So now let's turn that into something that's actually useful if you want somebody to stop, because every time that you use a high-pitched, low, calm, little quiet voice for a group of kids, it's probably not going to work. Now, here's the differentiation. You're not yelling. We're not telling kids to stop right now really loud or in a way that's aggressive, but we need to be intentional with our tone. Instead of, "Stop now, I'd like you to stop, please." No. "Hey, that's enough. Stop. Thank you." Can you hear the difference? But here's the secret. If you use that tone of voice all the time, if you are constantly, "Hey, stop, need you to do this, that's enough, move here, do this," your tone of voice has never changed. You've become monotone, and kids are not going to respond to that either. So you need to practice having a wide range of voices, because the calm, quiet voice can work. But also, when my kids know that I'm being serious, they can tell from my tone of voice, because it goes from my usual higher pitched, energetic voice down to that really low pitched, slow, intentional, calm voice, short, sharp words. I want you to try that in your next class and see how that goes. Work on your tone of voice, practice it in the mirror. I know you're going to feel ridiculous doing it, especially men. I know that your voices are set at a lower tone. So naturally, that authoritative voice does tend to sort of show more than not, but try some other ones. Try speaking really quietly. Try getting them to come in really close and sit down right now, because if you don't stop talking, you're not going to hear the next instruction. See how my voice has changed? I've lent in body language, I've lowered my voice, but I'm really intentional about what I need you guys to hear me say right now. This tone of voice and body language is going to be far more effective for your behavior management and control of the room than continually just relying back on push-ups for punishment. If I could get every coach who ever messaged me on my Instagram telling me that push-ups work and I don't have discipline and the kids mustn't respect me to just try this one thing from this video, I can pretty much guarantee I would get results every time. And if you want to understand more about my coaching methodologies and the way that I actually implement structure into my classes, I'm going to leave a link below for my school community. There's 13 courses there. There's like 50 hours of content, everything from, CLA and curriculum design to behavior management, communication with parents, anything that you could possibly want to be a really well-rounded kids coach is in there. So I'll pop a link there, check it out, and I will see you in the next video.